All right, welcome back to the next video in this learning series. I am going to start today off with just sharing a little bit of context about the work that I'm doing with this Food Council, because up to this point, we've talked a little bit about my code of ethics, we've covered what ChatGPT is, but I want to be sure that you understand what a Food Council is so that you have a little bit more information as I go into the grant writing process. It's really important that even as a grant writer yourself, you know what you're dealing with and you have a fairly healthy level of clarity, because if you go into this process without that, sometimes it can kind of bite you in the butt a bit. So to start, the Regional Food Council that I'm helping facilitate and provide project management administrative support for, we had like an 11-month planning process that went into creating what is called a Regional Food Systems Plan. What you're looking at right now is Partnership for Health's Food Council page. So if you go to this Healthy Foods tab at the top, Regional Food Council, that will take you here. And the information that is most relevant for the work that I'm doing, some of it at least, is this PDF of our regional food plan. So I have that pulled up in this other tab here. And basically the purpose of this was to get feedback from the community about what they wanted to see in the future in terms of accessing local foods, food production, protecting land for agricultural production, supporting food entrepreneurs in any way that was needed, and being able to get a little bit more clarity about what specifically can we do as a 4-county region, for example, in order to exercise influence on not just what the business landscape might look like, but also thinking about the policy environment, since we know that a lot of what is dictated in our region is happening from a policy standpoint. So this is a list of some of the partners that were involved in that process. And as you go into this, what you'll find is, we've got a summary like any other kind of report. We talk a little bit more about the region specifically and some of the context that we're operating in both locally and globally. And then what we did was we identified 8 priorities that came out of this planning process, asking specifically from the community what they felt was most important and needed. So better communication between food systems actors was one, support farmers in marketing local foods was another, improving consumer education with regards to food sources and availability, improve consumer education regarding food waste, provide more support for emerging farmers, expand support for urban agriculture, reduce food insecurity and hunger levels. And then the last one we had was invest in bicycle and pedestrian friendly infrastructure / interventions. So from there, we also worked with people to develop specific goals and objectives, and then below that, strategies. So we have, for example, under this first goal of increasing food system coordination and education, one of the objectives, and actually I'll look at this one specifically, Objective 2, create a West Central Minnesota Food Council that includes representation from traditionally marginalized communities. And then our first strategy under this is to recruit members from all 4 counties and work together to establish bylaws and a meeting schedule. And we've done that, which is really exciting. And so part of the purpose of plans like this, and this is something that I'm even taking away from the process of being a grant reviewer on another project, is when you have documentation, you have community buy-in, numbers, asset, mapping or gap assessments, any kind of assessments that are looking at here's the state of affairs and here's what we want to do with it, or here's the opportunity that exists, and being able to spell that out with some kind of evidence, whether that's financial or otherwise, that is going to be really helpful to strengthen any application that you would put in, because it really shows people that you've got some concreteness and specificity around what you're doing. It's not just sort of this pie in the sky idea and you're throwing spaghetti at a wall and seeing what's going to stick. So there's different goals, different strategies, different objectives. And what's kind of interesting is that when you go to the appendices, for example, because the actual content of the document isn't that much. But where it gets really interesting is when we start digging into some of these, asset mapping sessions and sort of seeing specifically who are the movers and shakers within the region, what did they say is needed. We summarized a lot of that information. We included a copy of our survey questions, and then we also had a summary of the survey results. We got 467 responses. I can't remember specifically how long we had that open, probably a couple of months, because we had a pretty fast planning timeline for this. And what I thought was kind of cool about it is we had a pretty good spread among age demographics, everywhere from someone that was 15 or younger to 75 or older, and a pretty healthy amount of people in this 25 to 44 range. So this is a resource, especially for any of you who are looking at bringing funding to West Central Minnesota. Definitely know that this is available to you. We asked people, what is an example of something innovative in food or agriculture that came about from the pandemic that you would like to see more of? That's something. And then we also asked people to prioritize which of the proposed food plan goals do you think are most important to the community? Access to healthy food, increasing local food production, reducing food waste, expanding local and regional markets. And what's kind of cool is that even out of these priorities and working with what would later become food council members, they identified some of the same priorities. So basically what happened was we completed this planning process, we published this document, and then we went straight into recruiting for a food council. And this council is made up of people across these 4 counties. And what they're working to do is identify policy and program opportunities to expand small-scale farming and improve access to more fresh and nutritious food for all of our West Central Minnesota residents. They're also working to empower residents to live more sustainably. And this regional food systems plan is kind of like the guiding document and backbone that helps support our work. And I'm hoping will provide us with really good track record and momentum to be able to provide for additional funding in the future. So what we have currently are 3 sort of subcommittees or just committees within our food council, and we've got urban agriculture, food security, and marketing local foods. And then this advisory committee, for example, is made up of different organizational groups that were involved in that planning process of the food systems plan. And so you'll see there's representation from across different industries involved in that, which is really exciting. So we have stipends that we pay our members in order to help keep their time somewhat compensated, right? We can't pay them for every hour, but we do recognize that their time is valuable. And so these people are responsible for meeting once a month. They identify, okay, within this particular umbrella of topics, where is their energy and momentum to be able to put something into action, whether it's evaluating what opportunities there are for, I don't know, like bringing people together that haven't been talking to each other, or maybe they just need to get more information about a particular topic. I know one of our groups is facilitating a panel discussion or something, and that might have even happened today, actually. So, exciting stuff, and I just wanted to be sure that you knew this is what I'm working with, is basically bringing funding to these groups and to the organization that is overseeing this to make sure that this work can continue, and to make sure that these wonderfully created strategies that were built, in community with community can come to life. So with that, I think I'll just stop there. And the next video, we're gonna dig into my process for kind of looking over this initial grant application. For all of you who have signed up for the VIP Access Pass, you're gonna have access basically to an additional video that talks about how I find funding opportunities in the first place. Like, where am I going to find that money? How do I get people to send information to me that is relevant? And also, how do I keep it organized within my inbox so that I'm not overwhelmed by that information? If that's something that you are interested in and you haven't already signed up for our access for our VIP access passes, definitely go ahead and do that. Those are on sale for just $15 through April 20th. You will also have access to a 90-minute session to be able to work with me one-on-one and meet fellow food systems enthusiasts and grant writers as well, who are passionate about using technology and AI specifically to help ease the grant writing process. So I'll make sure that information is linked within the description. And with that, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, evening, whatever time you find yourself tuning in.